Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel.
Okay, but more seriously, hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Leïla. On this channel, I talk about personal development and my life here in Seoul, South Korea. Today's topic is safety, and I wonder why have I not talked about this earlier, but that's okay. We're here to talk about it now. So we are going to talk about precautions you need to keep in mind if you were to move to a foreign country by yourself the way I did. I'm going to talk about everyday precautions when you go out partying, and because we are talking about Korea, I'm also going to share with you some much needed Korean resources, when you need help. Much needed resources when you need help. Yeah, that and and some most common scams happening in the country that you should be aware of. So if you're interested, keep on watching. All right, so let's start with everyday precaution, and I want to talk about something that's pretty obvious, but it's your passport, right? Do not walk around with your passport. If you are here on vacation, use your driver's license or your identification card from your country as a way to prove who you are, but leave your passport in your hotel or in your Airbnb safe. If, let's say, you move to Korea and you end up having an ARC card, I would say don't walk around with your ARC in your wallet. I mean, I've done that, and in the span of 1 year, I lost my card twice. And trust me, it was not fun because I had to pay the fees. I had to set up, my appointment at immigration, and I had to wait a month and a half. That was during COVID, each time just to get this card renewed. So trust me, the second time when that happened, I told myself I will not walk around with it anymore. So I took a picture of the front and the back, and I'm keeping that as a PDF on my phone, and I feel better that way. And to be honest, people don't really ask for ARC that much. That has really not happened to me, unless at bars, perhaps if they want to check your age, but that's about it. So I would advise you do the same. Take a picture, keep the picture on your phone, and keep the card safe at home. So let's move on to information you should send your family, and that is a very important thing that people don't really think about, but let's talk about it in detail so that you can also do the same and just make your life easier. If something were to happen to you, you don't want people to be clueless as to what to do, who to contact, etc. So first, you need to send your contact information, so your address and your phone number, to your family. It doesn't have to be every single family member. You can pick one person, send the information to that person via email so that they can keep it in their mailbox and have access to it or forward it to whoever needs it. Also, what you would do if you work in Korea, you can also give them the name of the company, the address, and the phone number of the company. Last but not least, in terms of information, if you have best friends here in Korea or people who are very close to you, I think it's a good idea to give your family member that person's name, phone number, and Instagram account. So that way, if something were to happen to you or they don't hear from you, they can reach out to the friend and see what's going on, or vice versa. You can give your friend your family's contact information so that if something were to happen to you here in Korea, that friend will reach out to your family member, and you would give that family's member phone number, name, and also Instagram account, because we all know that communicating via Instagram these days is the easiest. It's also good to share your overall routine with your family so that they are aware of the kind of lifestyle that you have here in Korea. And the frequency of communication is also very important. Try to maintain like maybe once or twice a week. It just depends on the kind of relationship that you have. So I'm not going to impose anything, but it's important that there is a frequency here. So that way, if out of nowhere they don't hear from you, they would know that something is wrong. We've heard countless stories of like old people who are not in touch with anyone, who end up passing away in their house without anybody knowing for weeks, and you don't want that to happen to you. So if you were to maintain constant communication with your family members or your friends back home, at least if they don't hear from you, they would know that it's time to reach out to that friend that you have in Korea and ask what's going on. Okay, now let's move on to registering to the embassy. If you are from a country that has an embassy here in Seoul, go ahead and provide your contact information. That way, if the embassy needs to communicate some very critical information to you, they will be able to do that. Or if there are some announcements, you will also be aware of them. Last but not least, if you live in an office-style here in Korea and you have a doorman, we call them 경비 아저씨. If you have them, befriend those men. And you know, just be nice to them, say hello when you see them, and try to build rapport, so that way if something were to happen to you in the building, you have someone to go to. I remember my door was making a very beautiful sound every time I would open it, and I thought, oh, that must be a new feature, but it was actually the door telling me the battery is running out and it's time for you to change it, otherwise you'll be locked outside. And that's exactly what happened to me. But thank God I went downstairs to la Kumbiajishi and I explained the situation to him, and he went out of his way to help me. But that was after he asked me where was my boyfriend and why my boyfriend couldn't help me with that. But that's another story for another day. And one time I had, you know, trouble sorting some like recycling and stuff. So I went to him and I asked him to teach me, and he was like very happy about that. So again, build rapport with people, so that way when you are in trouble, you have someone you can count. So let's move on to the next topic, and the next topic is partying in Korea, whether it be in Hongdae or in Itaewon, whether you go to a bar, a nightclub, or all that kind of stuff. To be honest with you, I am no longer interested in partying, going to a club and like drinking alcohol and having people grind on you, and you know, the smell of smoking and blah blah blah. I'm no longer into that. But I am going to just share my experience from previous years where I've partied in Korea, and this advice is valid for Korea or anywhere in the world, to be honest with you. So let's move on to that part. Obviously, if you go to the club, it's preferable that you do not go by yourself, but with a group of friends. And if that were to happen, make sure that among those friends there is one person who is the designated sober person. It could be someone who doesn't drink at all, or someone who chooses not to drink in order to watch over everyone. Of course, we're not talking about babysitting here, so the people drinking still have to mind their behavior, because there's no child here, right? And you don't want friends who are just completely berserk when they get drunk. These are like the worst friends to have. But the sober person would just be there to observe what's going on, to, you know, mind the drinks and stuff like that, and make sure that everybody is safe, and that at the end of the night everyone goes home together. The reason why I say that is, just don't go home with a stranger. I mean, don't be that desperate. If you meet a guy and you feel like, oh, there is something, let him take your contact information and take you on a date the following day. That's it. Don't rush into weird stuff, because you don't know what's awaiting you there. Don't be that friend who just disappear out of nowhere with a guy and your girlfriends are looking for you all over the place and can't find you and all worried. Don't be that friend who is half drunk telling her girlfriend, hey, I'm not going home with you, I'm going with this guy, and now they have to fight and convince you not to do so. It's just like, let's just agree not to have that kind of behavior, okay? So don't go home with a stranger. Don't accept drinks from strangers either. If you like the guy and you want to let him buy you a drink, okay, then go to the bar with him and see the bartender make the drink for you. Or let him get you a drink that's like sealed, and you can tell the drink is sealed before you drink it. If you have a table, dance near the table, mind your drinks on the table, because spiking is real. And I know compared to other countries, Korea is relatively safe, I am not gonna lie. But the problem with that is, because we believe it so much, we tend to let our guard down, and we tend to do things that we would never do in our own, you know, home country. So be mindful of that. There are CCTV everywhere. People usually polite, people usually mindful, but then again, you could be that girl who meets that one guy who decides that tonight is the night he wants to be a jerk, an awful person, and you could be the victim of that. The truth is, there are situations where girls are a victim, but they don't talk about it out of shame or out of, you know, trauma. And you might not believe this is something that's happening, but it is. It's just that people don't really talk about it. So just be very careful when you go out. Don't trust strangers. Don't trust people. Don't trust a nice smile. No, it's not worth it in the long run. Okay? All right, so let's move on to the part of the video where I provide resources and phone numbers that are going to be very helpful to you. So the first phone number is 1330. This is Korea Travel Helpline that's available in 4 languages: Korean, Japanese, English, and Chinese. So those travel assistants are going to be available to you if you need interpretation services, if you have any queries regarding your travel needs, if you need medical assistant or emergency assistant, and if you, and that's very important, want to register a complaint. So let's say you visit an establishment and they don't treat you right because you are a foreigner or for any other reason, you can call the travel helpline 1330 and complain about it. Now, there's no guarantee they would do anything about it, but at least you would have someone to talk to who would actually want to listen and get your feedback, because they do take the opinion of travelers very seriously here. So again, 1330, and it is available 24/7. The second phone number I want to talk about is 119, and this is the emergency medical help phone number. So if you have an accident or if you need an ambulance, this is the number that you would call. You don't have to tell them your location, because thanks to your cell phone, they'll be able to pinpoint exactly where you are. It is available 24/7, 365 days a year, and the good thing is it is available in 16 languages. So if you're in dire need of assistance, if you don't speak Korean, that's okay. Call 119. They will have someone speak English, and then you can explain your issue. And then for the police department, so that would be for thief, assault, or any other crime, the phone number is 112. The last thing I want to talk about quickly is like pharmacies here in Korea, because I know I was kind of confused about like how they would work, but they work just like any other pharmacies around the world. They're called YAG, and over there you can get pretty much any over-the-counter things that you get almost anywhere. As far as like drugs like Tylenol, aspirin for like headaches, you can find those at convenience stores. You don't have to go to a pharmacy. A good thing to keep in mind is like pharmacies are usually not open on Sunday unless it's like near a travel major like transportation hub, but usually they're closed on Sunday, so keep that in mind. Personally, I am used to French medicine, so whenever I travel, I buy tons of it. Even when I was in America, I was not using American medicine. So you could bring your own medicine if you want, but you can find some good stuff here in Korea as well. So let's talk about frequent scams that are happening here in Korea that you should be aware of. So we're going to start with taxis. Here's the thing, right? If you have a Korean phone number that is registered, meaning that you have a contract with a cell phone company and you have a Korean debit card, you will be able to register it for Kakao Taxi, the service. With Kakao Taxi, when you make your request, you know exactly in advance how much it's going to cost you, and you have the option of paying with your card that's already in the system. So that's great. The taxi driver cannot, tell you otherwise, right? And then you also have access to the map, so you see which route the taxi is taking, so that gives you some extra safety, because you know he is not taking you anywhere that's not on the path he's supposed to take. However, if you don't have that and you are forced to grab a cab off the street, the first thing you need to make sure is that that cab has a meter that he's using, because what you would pay should be based on the meter, not based off of whatever he's telling you. So make sure he has a meter, and if you want to be extra safe, you can give him the destination and ask him how much he thinks it's gonna cost, just to give you an idea. But at the end of the day, you should only pay what's on the meter. If he doesn't have a meter, you get out of the taxi, because he is going to try to rip you off. And also, when you give him the destination, always look at your map. It could be, I don't know, Naver map or Kakao map, just to see that he is taking, the most optimal route, not something completely out of his way just to charge you more. Okay, so that's the cab situation you need to be aware of. Accommodation. So if you intend to move to Korea, do not sign a lease without seeing the place, because online they have beautiful pictures that are going to make you go, oh my God, I love the place. But unless you see it for yourself, you will never know what you're getting. So my number one advice when it comes to accommodation, take an Airbnb for like a week or two, come to Korea and then look for accommodation, visit the accommodation, feel the atmosphere, look at the neighborhood, and make your decision. But don't make your decision off of picture, because you're going to be scammed. Okay, next is cult people. religious people. So if a middle-aged person comes out of nowhere and wants to strike a conversation with you, either in broken English or very good English, it's usually weird. So I would say give them the benefit of the doubt, but you would soon realize that the conversation would take a turn that's going to raise some eyebrow, especially if the person wants to invite you to an event or wants to take you to their church or whatever. Like, don't entertain that. Personally, that has never happened to me. I think I remember one time where someone gave me a card, but it was just giving me a card with the information on it, but the person did not try to like you know, talk to me or convince me or anything like that. But I've heard about this story, so just putting it out there. People don't usually randomly come to you to start a conversation with you. That's not normal. So give them the benefit of the doubt, because maybe for some reason they felt like they needed to have a conversation with you. But if you realize that things are taking a turn, just don't entertain that, stop it, and get out of the way, because it's going to be very hard to get rid of them once you give them your contact information. Price scam, so that's usually for like tourists, but if you are living in Korea the first few months, if you're not aware of how much things cost, then that could be a problem. Now, of course, if it's a store that already has the price available, you don't have to worry. But if you want a bargain, if you go to like Namdaemun Market or Dongdaemun or those places where there are no prices but just bargain, don't take what they say at face value. Always negotiate, always haggle, and if it's too expensive, just threaten to walk away. Usually they'll call you back and be like, oh, okay, fine. But just be aware of price scam. This one is voyeurism. Those cameras that are almost everywhere in bathrooms in Korea. I think we're all aware of that. I personally use public bathroom a lot, I'm not gonna lie, although I know about this issue, but it's not enough for me to go out of my way and not use those bathrooms when I'm in dire need of using a bathroom, right? So I just pray to God that whatever stall I'm using is not compromised. But that's the only thing I can, you know, potentially do, is like pray that it doesn't happen to me. But it is something to be aware of. So if you could potentially avoid situations where you're using outside bathrooms, then by all means do it. But yeah, be mindful of that. And yeah, but that's like a whole nother subject, but I just want to give it to you real quick here. And last but not least, financial scams. Now, this is most likely going to happen to people who live in Korea, who have a phone number that's registered, because what happens, I don't know if the cell phone company sells our information, but I get spam text all the time, to a point where I stop checking them. And if you're not careful, you might be clicking on the link that's going to like send some phishing stuff. I don't know how to call that. I think it's called phishing, right? Where you click on the link and then it infests your computer or your cell phone. So that happens here. So you kind of have to be aware of that. If you receive a random text message from someone you don't know asking you to click on something, don't do it. And it's usually going to be in Korean. So again, if you don't speak Korean, at least papago the whole thing just to see what it is. But if you're not expecting anything from anyone, just disregard the whole thing and don't click on anything or do anything stupid, because they have some pretty nicely intricate financial scam here, and you don't want to be the victim of that. That is all for today. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. I hope you found the content to be useful, so feel free to share it and feel free to subscribe to my channel if you are interested in the content that I make. I am trying my best to do this one video a week challenge until the end of December, so wish me luck. And as far as this video, if you have any tips regarding safety that you would like to share with everybody else, I'll be curious to see as well. Put them in the comment section. Again, I thank you so much, and you will see me in the next video. Until then, take very good care of yourselves. Bye.